Okay, we'll call the Committee of the Whole meeting for May 25th, 2021 to order at 12:30 p.m. Ask for a motion from Councillor Moore that the Committee of the Whole adopt the agenda for the Committee of the Whole meeting May 25th as presented.
I will make that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
All in favor? Carried. Ask for a motion from Councillor McMillan that the Committee of the Whole adopt the minutes from May 10th Committee of the Whole meeting as presented.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. And we're on to potential consumption of alcohol in public parks in High River, as though it's never happened before.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I can speak to this. And this is going up. Pardon me?
I would have never. I'll mute myself now.
This was in response to an email that we saw circulating, and one that administration circulated out there as well about other communities considering this as a pilot project. I know the city of Calgary is considering it, or has considered it in putting it in place for this summer. Vancouver is also considering it and putting it in place in 3 specific locations within their park systems. And other smaller communities are taking a look at it. So before we did a lot of research and additional work on it, we wanted to see if there was any interest at all with the concept from council before we spent any time. And if there was a rush to do it for the summer, then we would have to take a look at something moving off the list for the time being, or deferring something until this was completed. And we wanted to see if there was any interest from council to investigate this further in more detail and come back with a detailed report for consideration.
Open it up for council. Councillor Cooey.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. In my mind, I don't think it's anything urgent. I don't know that we need to take anything off the list for it. Maybe if there's interest in considering it, maybe for next year, but that's just my thought process. I don't know that it's an urgent matter by any means.
Councillor Masterman.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. Yeah, I totally agree with Councillor Cooey. I haven't had a single resident in almost 8 years say to me, boy, it would sure be nice if the town allowed me to have a drink in George Lane Park or Birchwood Park or any of the other parks in town. It just hasn't been an issue. You know, as you noted, I imagine that the people who want to do it are doing it, and if they're doing it discreetly and they, you know, I just you know, and they're not making a big show of it, and it's going to happen, and so I guess I'm just not sure that it's something we really need to get into just because a few other communities are looking at it, but I'm certainly open to being convinced otherwise. So thanks.
Councillor Moore.
Just a quick question. Do they allow alcohol at the campsite in the park?
Yes, they do within the specific sites that are supposed to keep it limited to the specific sites that you're occupying. And I think it can stay within the campsite, wandering around from campfire to campfire, discreetly, of course, but leaving the premises, that's not technically allowed.
I know we had problems with the kids that were stealing liquor bottles from the campsites and actually going into the other areas of the park and drinking their alcohol there. But
I think every campsite has a problem with cooler rating. And it's one of those processes of growing up, I guess.
Councillor McMillan? You there, Carol?
Oh, sorry.
Maybe I was on mute when I called for you.
No, I think it just all froze up and it said my internet's unstable. Sorry about that. Chris, did we have citizens request this?
No requests. We've been watching what other communities have been doing. We did, one councillor brought it forward as in response to a legal article that was circulated to all members of council, and with some of the press that it's received through both papers and television, we thought, let's ask. If it's important, we can defer something. If it's not important, we want to make sure that we're being as inclusive and open as possible and transparent as well.
Great, thanks. Because I guess I would be on the same page as Councillor Cooey and Councillor Masterman that I don't think it's a high priority at this time. And even thinking about all the businesses that worked hard on getting their patio licenses, I just think that, keep their business going. And just like people mentioned, people will discreetly do it and that's fine, but I don't think we need to take anything off of our priority list at this point. So thanks.
Councillor Nychuk?
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. Chris brought up the councillor that brought it forward, and it was me. So before anybody jumps on and says, well, you run a distillery, so that's why you want this, that's not the case. I just think it's progressive. I think being discreet and skulking around in a park and drinking, it's illegal for those people that don't want to be illegal and want to have the option to take a bottle of wine to George Lane Park and enjoy it with their wife, their family, their partner, whoever it might be. I'm supportive of that. I don't think it's a burning priority that we need to change administration's tact on anything. But I think in consideration of how society is moving forward with a lot of things that used to be very prescriptive, this is something that is less prescriptive and gives people the opportunity within a legal context to go out and enjoy that if they so wish. So I'm not saying we need to burn the forest down to get this done, but I sure would like to discuss it in the future. As Councillor Cooey mentioned, maybe this is something we look at for parks for next year. Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I just don't see this as a burning issue, but you bring up good points, Michael, that, if there are people that don't think they can, we haven't heard from the public at all on this, but maybe we will in the future now that it's become a public issue, especially with what the city of Calgary is doing. And, if we look at this in the future, I would like it to just be a broad statement that you can do it in the park, period, or Birchwood, all the parks has to be equal everywhere. Or maybe we just pick out specific ones that you can do it. You don't want it in playgrounds or anything like that. Like it's some area that's just specifically a playground, I guess. I don't know that you would need to grab a bottle of wine to go watch your kid play on the slide, but maybe I would. But I don't know. When I look at the way Calgary's dealing with this, I get that, they've got to, whenever the city does something, it's a bigger monster than what we have to deal with. And, I know listening to Councillor Carr on the radio a couple of weeks ago talking about this, they're asking people to call the city. You have to book a picnic table for you to sit at and drink your beer at that picnic table with your booking there, right? So I know they're being a little looser than that with it, but like he said, if you want your picnic table and you want to be able to do it, then you better book your picnic table and do it through that. So that to me is a little bit onerous for a town to get into. So if we were going to go down this road and just, just to open it up for why not? We all know what's happening today for lots of people that go down there. They're doing it. We don't have any big issues with that being a problem at all. But you make a good comment there, Michael, that there's people that just don't think they can, so they don't, even though they might like to, right? So maybe we open it up, but I don't know how much work would have to be put into changing a policy or changing wording in a bylaw or something, Chris, but I think let's revisit this with possibly the next council for next year. I don't know. Does that fit, Michael, or do you want it done sooner? I don't know.
No, like I said, I'm in no rush. I just like the open discussion. It just government putting restrictions on things has never been my favorite position. People should be able to live their lives. There's many countries in the world where alcohol isn't as regulated as it is here. And I'm not saying that's the right thing or the wrong thing. Just like to open it up to just more open discussion of the opportunity. Obviously, for years we haven't been able to do it. It hasn't been an opportunity. I'm not saying to do it just because Vancouver and Calgary are doing it. If we are daring to be different and innovative and a community that's moving forward, I think that falls under that. So it's worth the discussion. I'm not entirely convinced it's the right thing, but I think it's worthy of some discussion. We've got some great, beautiful park spaces, and if that was somebody's desire to have a beer, a wine, or whatever, while they sit there and watch the river roll by and the sunset, hey, who am I to say that they can't do that in a legal and responsible manner? So that was all I was asking for. There's no burning fire under my butt to get this done. It was just to bring it forward and see what everybody thought, and perhaps it's an opportunity for our
Perfect. Let's just keep it on the radar, Chris, and future discussion when it gets brought up again.
Okay. Done.
Okay. Cool. Fire department trailer, Cody.
Afternoon, Mayor and Council. So just kind of looking for a bit of direction from you guys in regards to our current trailer that Trevor and myself are in. So this was purchased back in 2017 as a temporary office space for the fire department. And as we move closer to the completion of the renovation here at the station, we're going to need to find a new home for it. We have an opportunity. Originally, we went to Foothills County for the Alderside site, and they're not quite ready for it yet. They don't have their plans in place to be able to house it out there and be able to use the trailer for training change room, classroom, whatever it may be. So they weren't quite ready for it there. So talking to the town of Okotoks, they're building a small training facility on kind of this would be the southeast side of Okotoks. So it may be an opportunity to house the trailer out there. Call it a bit of a donation from the perspective that they would pay to move it there, and then we would be able to utilize the training facility basically at no cost for kind of the use of the trailer, if you would. So some sort of a formal agreement be drafted up between us and Okotoks with it. And the other option is that we look at selling it via auction or whatever means that may be. So kind of our thought would be is to go down the road of creating a partnership with Okotoks and moving the trailer out to their temporary training site. And at some point when they're done with it, maybe we're in need of it again, and we can do a swap back and forth again. So that was kind of our thoughts surrounding it.
Okay, perfect. I like it. I like it. The partnership, you guys work it out. Councillor Moore.
Yeah, how big is the trailer, Cody?
Yeah, it's a 12 by 60, so it's a pretty good sized trailer.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, and so we originally thought, well, maybe somebody within our organization could utilize it, but we don't have anywhere to store it, and currently there's no use for it within the town of Harrisburg organization.
yeah, we need a trailer for our new backhand slurry backhand at the landfill, but we can only accommodate up to about 40 feet. So
Gotcha.
too big. What would be the cost of hauling it to an auction site?
You know, that's a good question, because in the contract with Scott Builders, when they moved it over to the other side, we never received an invoice for them moving it around. So I don't even know what to guess. Maybe Chris, would you have any idea of what the approximate move cost would be?
I think the airport's in the process of trying to move a trailer onto their site, and Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was like $3,200-ish from just outside of Okotoks, correct?
Actually, that was bringing it down from Grand Prairie to site. So it was, but I think it was a little bit of a special deal because of the not-for-profit with the airport. But
okay, I think it'd be about $1,500-ish, Cody.
That was kind of my guess. You know, if I had to guess, it would be around that ballpark.
There's one thing in past dealings with Okotoks, they don't seem to honor any longer term agreements. So we could end up with no, you can't use it anymore for fire training from High River unless you pay us for it. So as long as you have a good contract or agreement built up with them, and maybe not make it as a donation but a loan, so that you could recover it at some time in the future. They've kind of screwed us in the past on various arrangements after they've got what they wanted.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that that's definitely something we want to make sure we have a solid agreement. So working with Jody and those folks to make sure that we have something that both is fair for both parties, I think is 100% in order.
Councillor Nychuk.
Thanks, Mr. Snodgrass. Just in relation to the presentation, Cody, it talks about cost savings as compared to going to Calgary for training and whatnot. There wasn't any detail in regards to cost to go to Calgary versus cost to work with Okotoks. I like the idea of working with another community and putting this facility to purpose somewhere where it, you know, especially if it still benefits you, right? Yep. You and your team. But can you make any reference to those cost savings that you were talking about in the report?
Yeah, so certainly. So for us to rent the Calgary facility, it was $500 a day for each portion of the facility. So if you rented, say, the pump manifold and the training tower, would be $1,000 for the day. I know that those costs are going up. I'm not sure to what. And then we also have the fuel and mileage to run the trucks up there. So when we go, we have to bring all of our own trucks, all of our own equipment. So it's the fuel and mileage and the guys' time to get up there as well. So, you know, running to Okotoks, you know, fuel is fairly negligible as opposed to running to kind of the northeast side of Calgary for training. So, and then now there's also consumables that Calgary does charge. So pallets, bales, that sort of stuff. So, and it can vary depending on what kind of training you're doing. So, you know, I would say an average training day would be anywhere from $750 to $1,000, you know, quite easily.
Okay, and you're going to have the similar training opportunities with Okotoks. Their facility is going to be somewhat similar.
So we're gonna have the ability to do some live fire training there on a smaller scale. Now, if we were to do any of the LPG, so propane training or any of that, I'm not sure that they're going to have that there yet, just given the magnitude of what it is to actually put all those props in. But certainly they'll have basically what they're looking at doing is a C-can type structure that will be able to burn in it to do live fire training with the guys. There is going to be times where we are still going to have to go to Calgary, just given the standpipe system that they have in the burn tower, which is one of the skills for our new firefighters, and the LPG props that they have up there that we just don't have access to down here.
Cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
My thoughts are, Cody, that if you can work out a partnership with them that makes sense for you, excellent. If not, sell it to them, pay them to use the place, whatever. Sometimes that's just cleaner and easier anyways, but your decision, you'll make the right one.
Perfect. Thank you.
My thoughts. Opened up question and answer. Councillor Cooey.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. Just a few questions here. I know we're running a little short on time, so I don't necessarily need all of the answers right away. First question, just for clarification, I've in the last couple of weeks had 2 different residents reach out to me concerned about the road surrounding the Hampton 2nd Avenue and 20th Street. Concerns about the dust, concerns about their health and how it's impacting them. Obviously, one of them has COPD and talks about the yellow dust on there. Ironically, I was going through emails and found one from 2016 that talked about us needing to look at kind of a temporary solution, a semi-permanent, and then a more permanent solution. And when I look at the budget going forward, I see in 2026, we have 500,000 for 20th, which isn't much. And in 2030, we have 4.7 for 2nd Ave. So this has been on the books obviously a long time, and maybe there's no appetite to look at it sooner, but we hear consistently concerns about the dust from that road. We know that the alignment of the road is, that angle of the corner is really strong, so or really sharp. So I just wasn't sure if we could or should, and maybe everyone will shake their heads no, have another look. But secondly, if these are the numbers and the timelines I can give those residents who are going to be incredibly disappointed, but I just want to have a response to them that's factual. So if we want to leave it, Chris, that's fine. Come follow up with an answer to that one.
Certainly, I can certainly work with staff to follow up with an answer. That's our current timelines, Councillor Cooey. Those timelines, again, with any capital planning process that we undergo, are a little bit fluid. So the council of the day could accelerate a project if they so chose. The timelines that are in the budget right now, 2026 would be primarily a design year and looking at the design of that road, with 2030 probably being the full construction and build out of that realignment. So that would be the time frame right now, but if council chose to move that up, that's a council decision that they could make through the budget process each and every year.
So just a second question to that, and Riley, maybe is there plans to re-oil or do whatever we do to that? Do we do that on a yearly basis or not? What do we do for dust control? Or do we do any dust control on a yearly basis or work to that road?
Yes, we do dust control on it. We use that, the same product we're using on the lanes, which is, I think, a wax-based product. We've actually been in contact with a couple of the residents out there that have expressed the same concerns with us, and so we did inform them of the product. We did share the MSDS. We talked about alternatives as well as timeline as well. But kind of like your conversation, Kathy, unless council's willing to kind of accelerate the timeline in terms of a dust perspective, there isn't a lot we can do.
Right. Riley, maybe we will connect offline. If you could just provide me those timelines for this year and that information, I'll share it with these residents.
Sure.
Perfect. And just another, clarification. And I didn't mean, on the outfalls or infalls, I don't know what you call them, the waterways coming into Sunshine Lake. I just want clarification. There's the fountain, and then there's the kind of, I don't know what to call it, the other little stream that comes in. I just want to clarify, where does that water go? Does it recirculate from the lake? Is it coming from Emerson? Is it coming from the canal? Where does the water come from that feeds those?
So feeds Sunshine?
Yeah.
So all the water that feeds Sunshine is storm water. We do not pull water from the canal. We haven't for a couple of years now. And so that's all through our storm system. And then it does get pumped out to the canal if there's a surplus.
So those water features then is just circulating water from Sunshine.
Correct. All it is we just have the couple fountains out there, and so it's they don't have a huge amount of circulation. Like there isn't a secondary circulation system or anything like that. The draw on those pumps is somewhat shallow, so it's not like it's sucking down to the bottom because Sunshine's quite deep in spots. So it's only a couple feet, and then that's about it. And so you do get a little bit of recirculation, but it's not deep circulation.
Okay, that's fine.
That's actually a good question, Kathy, because I don't know if we're still running the aeration system out there. We did have an aeration to address that deeper issue, and to be honest, I'm not sure if that's still running or not.
Okay, if I were to look at the lake, I would tell you it is, but I don't know that for sure. So just the last real quick question. We normally have fireworks on July 1st. We obviously don't know where restrictions are going to be. Just wondering if we've thought of doing something later in the fall or looking at potential exemptions or anything like that. So just curious if we'd had a plan B.
Nothing yet. We've talked about it a couple times in terms of opportunities because we still have fireworks from last Canada Day that were never used. And so we have talked about, what about New Year's? And then, so every time they change the COVID circumstances, we do evaluate if we can reuse those fireworks, and we'll be able to use them this Canada Day, or can we use them there's been a couple different scenarios where we've contemplated, we just haven't had the opportunity yet.
Awesome, thank you.
We'll continue going with questions. I'm not worried about the special meeting starting right at 1 o'clock, just because it's a closed meeting anyway. So we'll finish up our questions in here, and then we'll go into our closed meeting. So next on the list, I don't know who put their hand up first, but I'll go with Councillor Nychuk, please.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. Few questions, and again, to Councillor Cooey's point, if you want to send out answers after the fact, that's fine, because I have a few questions. Now that we have parking tickets downtown, have bylaw issued any tickets in the downtown area? I think we've got a 3-hour parking limit currently down there. Just had a couple of citizens ask me if that was being implemented or not. I see that one of the derelict cars in the alley behind 5th was moved. So thanks, Chris, for that. There's still the one that was there from the last council meeting I pointed out. The top lifts on High Park Circle and High Country Rise, I'm assuming are still in progress. It would just nice to know when we get a date that those are going in. Progress on the Northwest Lift Station, it seems to be going along okay. I haven't heard of any impeding problems for the timelines. The traffic flow has been really good in the Northwest. I live there. I haven't heard anything from any citizens otherwise. So that's been nice. It's been handled really well so that people can still get around without too much trouble. The alley paving between 3rd and 4th seems to be going okay. Be nice to know that it was. The curling rink I know is on the council agenda for the demolition portion of the slab. I didn't read in there if there was timelines. Maybe somebody can speak to that on the timelines for the demolition completion and then the start of work. And fire hall build issues. Well, it wasn't really build. I think it was electrical. We got a little bit of communication on that, and hopefully everything's moving along okay there, and Cody isn't smelling any more burning plastic. Good that it's the fire hall and they're right there and they're present, but anyway, that's kind of my questions, guys. Thanks very much. I don't need, like I said, I don't need answers to all of them, but maybe it just can come in an update or something. Thank you.
So I'll jump in to start. I will check on the parking tickets and see if there's been any issued, and if not, why we haven't, and making sure that we're doing our patrols downtown as well. So I'll get that confirmation out there. Glad to see that one of the cars has been moved, and I'll check up on why the other one hasn't yet. Riley, you can jump in if you know a date, but I have not received a date from engineering yet on High Park Circle or High Country Rise. when the asphalt is back with the engineers, the developer's engineers, to confirm the date and line up the contractor. Great to hear the Northwest Lift Station's going well from your guys' perspective. And I haven't heard any issues with the alley paving at this point in time. They should be finished early next week. And so that should be going well. The grades, I walked through there, the grades look good to have that inverted crown. And Riley can speak to the curling rink aspect. And the build issues, Cody, do you want to add in anything? We did lose a fridge or two, right?
Yeah, we lost a fridge and some other small electrical items. So it was a long day on Tuesday. I think we got out of here around 11 o'clock. But once we're done, all their issues were resolved, and they've so far gone through and checked all the existing wiring to make sure there's no further issues. And we're just working with our consultant team to ensure that we maintain our warranty on all the new electrical equipment that was installed. So should it have gotten affected, that we're going to be looking for an extra year's extended warranty on all the equipment. So we don't end up getting into a spot where, you know, your warranty's off and now we start seeing problems.
I had no other questions. Everybody else put their hand down, so. My only thing, council had discussed the bump out on First and McLeod, talking about fixing that, doing some adjustments there. Doesn't sound like anybody's really against it. It's more what will we do, whether it's a rolled curb or a full redesign. But I'd kind of like to just table that discussion as well for a while. It's going to come up in the next budget with the next council, so we'll leave it there. But just to let everybody know that that is important, and we've got to figure something out there that's never really worked properly at all. So we'll get that sorted out in the future. We'll leave that one. Nobody else's hands are up, so I will adjourn the meeting at 1:02.